everyone. I am Varnika Gupta, and this presentation today is part of I Am the Future series, where we are speaking with various business leaders at Infosys. And today I have with me Padma Bhamidipati, Brand Manager, Education, Training and Assessment at Infosys Limited. Hello, Padma. Welcome to this series, and thank you so much for being a part of it.
Thank you.
Let's begin by knowing you a bit more. How would you describe yourself?
I was born as a single child, but I have always had the privilege of being with large teams, large set of individuals. And today, I think over a period of time of being both in the corporate world and at Infosys, I have somewhere been able to get over my shy nature. I have started enjoying traveling, and I also do that traveling with my books, which are really my first love. So, with all of this as a background, I think the words that I would use to describe myself are grateful, persistent, emotional, and fierce.
How did the personality develop like this? What were the experiences in your formative years, probably, that helped you develop the personality that you have today?
You see, I was born on March 8th, which nowadays is all about Women's Day, etc. But I think while growing up, it was never lost on me that I am a single child, a girl child and single child. And I'm talking about the 70s. So, definitely a very important element that continues to hold and be very dear to me, even in my journey thus far and beyond. I am the only child of my parents. My father retired as a scientist from DRDO, and my mother retired as a teacher from Don Bosco School. While growing up, I think I have always had the very important influence of these two individuals for multiple reasons. My mother has, not only traveled courtesy my grandfather's job across the country, but she has also studied in different schools, different amazing education institutions, not without her share of, different experiences. For a large part of her education career, she studied in Marathi medium. And interestingly, when she made the switch to English language, the students and the teachers in her school were wondering whether really she studied in Marathi medium, or was it, just something that they had been misinformed about. Another important aspect is my mother always had the best of education. I quote her, but the same is applicable to her siblings too. And in the education, that is an important element for both my mother and my father. They ensured that they were there, they were able to make do with all the opportunities given to them. And I think that was extremely important as and when opportunities were presented to me. It has helped me appreciate that opportunities that are given to you should be, first of all, respected, and you should make the best use of it. So this was something which was very influential as I was growing up. But also, what never really missed all of this conscience was that you need a large support system. Both my set of grandparents, which is for my mother, her in-laws and her parents, made sure that she was not just a competent individual, but also someone who was able to pursue her aspirations. You see, influence is not just about ensuring that a person cheerleads you and ensures that you are pursuing your dreams, but also taking lessons from what they have undergone. I will quote an example here. My mother used to study in Lady Shri Ram College in Delhi. And, very interestingly, she would talk about that she would, circulate her saris, because not only was it to ensure that she went, dressed appropriately, but, she's also someone who has been a huge fan and proponent of wearing saris. I have never seen my mother in any attire than a sari, even, when she was growing up and till date as well. Now, the saris hold a very significant aspect for me, because it was not just about, living within the means, not being extravagant, but also ensuring that you do this balancing act. you are putting on your best face forward, you are showing that you're professionally ready, and without having to invest too much or bringing out too much of investment in trying to build the bells and whistles around you. Now, for me, this entire analogy or this example of a sari holds a lot of importance, because today, when I look at my own support system, I see each one of them balancing it out. My support system starts with my parents, and again, my mother especially. She was the one who, while at work, was able to take care of my elder child for 3 years. And imagine a first child, not really staying with you, but being brought up in a distant city. But she ensured that we never felt that we were able to continue to be an active ingredient in his growing up years because of the balance that she was able to bring in. Also important for me to talk about my own in-laws. My father-in-law, who unfortunately is no more, but was a famous historian and in Madurai, Dr. R Venkatraman. He continued to say always that, you know what, if my son, and this is something that he's told my co-sisters as well, if my boys don't allow you to pursue your dreams, just leave them and come and stay with me. It is not just about a career, it is about dreams. And those were the words that constantly get echoed in my family, even from my in-laws side. I would fail in my duty if I don't mention my husband, because ever since we got married, which is now 2 decades, just about a few weeks ago, he has ensured that I'm always, constantly ensuring that whatever has been given to me as an education background, as an upbringing, is put to the best use, whether it is at home or whether it is at work. If it meant my travel, it would meant many things, or taking up new responsibilities, I have never seen him pull me back. On the contrary, he has always nudged me to take it further. And of course, the boys. I have two sons, Vismay and Vihan, aged 18 and to be 15 shortly. Um, I think, the greatest fun is in them, taking pride in what you do, talking about what you do to their friends or their teachers. And I think that is really where you feel that all of this is really worth it, because people are able to appreciate your contribution at home and contribution to pursuing your own dreams, because that in turn is going to influence them and talk about it with their others as well.
When did you decide that you want to take up you want to pursue your current profession, and how like what were the experiences that made you decide that probably this is the one where I can really shine, or this is something that really interests me?
As a child, I was not the ambitious variety. I really didn't have a plan. If you still ask my school friends, I was pretty laid back. The only time I used to come alive was on the sports field or in the choir. Other than that, I was pretty okay just going through life. Now, when these kind of experiences started coming, I realized that, number one, there definitely has to be more than the chubby side of me that I need to tell myself, forget the others. The other aspect is that my again, as a part of the entire effort to be involved in co-curricular activities, my mother used to encourage me to participate in a lot of fests, the school fests that were there. I clearly remember, this is 1987. We had gone for one such fest on a Saturday, and I got onto the stage to say a particular paragraph from Julius Caesar, and I said the same line 20 times for a span of 10 minutes, and I just walked off. My father was there in the audience because it was a Saturday, and he came back home and told my mother that, she really froze on the stage. My mother, being who she is, she enrolled me in a public speaking class. Now, most of the time, you would have heard these instances, and people will just say, over a period of time, it'll get done. My mother is someone who has to take an action. She's extremely action oriented. Now, she put me into this public speaking class, and at home, she used to make sure that every week I got an assignment of writing a speech. So, from freezing on stage and probably embarrassing my father in 1987, Two, the last few years of being an active MC at Infosys and having the singular privilege of hosting not just the Infosys Foundation Awards of Arohan, but even the farewell of Mr. UB Praveen and Mrs. Sudha Murthy. I think that for me is one of the many journeys which have influenced and ensured that I am where I am. I always say I love the fact that Infosys lets you be you. The last, what will be 21 years in March 2022, this company has, never tried to fix you into a mold. We always say that once an Infosys, always an Infosys, but an Infosys is you. It has given you the space. It allows you to, build on your strengths, and yet it also holds a mirror for you. So if you have done something wrong, if you have acted which is not in line with the culture, with the ecosystem, you will have people who will not just tell you, hey, you're wrong, but also help you correct that. So you're not left to yourself, to fend for yourself. You do have automatically, again, my constant word, a support system that gently comes in order to help you. I think at Infosys, I have seen magnanimity at its best. They are so magnanimous, whether it is in giving you opportunities or whether it is giving you your space. Because in my entire professional journey, I've had a period, typically this was in 2009, where I had to take a call of going slow in my career. And my managers at that point in time, Miss Lata and Dr. J.K. Suresh, said, why don't you take it slow instead of quitting? Because I was ready to quit my job so that I could spend more time with, my boy, since my husband was doing, we were having a long distance marriage on account of his career. And I think that kind of a magnanimity in ensuring that you never let someone go, or not give them an opportunity to stay in the workforce, I think that is commendable.
How can we women who are working, and especially someone like you who is in such a leadership position, how can they contribute by telling women that it's okay to take slow, and it's okay to not achieve for that perfection at all times?
One has to be extremely clear. You cannot be a fence sitter. But what has always been very important for me as an individual is to be vocal about it. Talk, express, ask for time from people, because a couple of words are not going to put both the sentiment and your interest across to them. You will need to take time, help them understand your situation. Most of the time, people are hesitant to share their personal details, and rightfully, I also don't like to share my personal details. But for decision makers whom you need to be on your side, or who are on your side, you need to take them into confidence, share as much as is required, so that if, for example, you want to go slow, you are first of all not being beaten up by yourself. Forget the neighbors, your family, your spouse coming and telling you anything. The biggest challenge we have is ourselves, because we are looking at the mirror and saying, you know what, and I had this, by the way, by 35 I wanted to be an associate vice president. I'm going to turn 46 and I'm still waiting for that. So that's fine. You all have that little milestone that you want to do. But in the whole process of getting to that, how clear are you in what you want is the very, very essential first step. Then identifying people who will help you in it. I keep saying, most of the time people say it takes a village to raise a child. What we all forget is it takes a village to continue to help you achieve your dreams. I personally don't believe this concept of self made person. You are never self made. You have an army of people always with you, whether it is your colleague, whether it is your manager, your support system at home. In this whole scheme of things, if you are clear, then nobody is going to help you go onto a guilt trip, because you're not going on it yourself. it is okay to go slow. We were not born to be a part of this rat race. When we were born, we were not given a brand. Even, our names are given to us after a certain days, barring in some cultures. But it is important for us to understand what's critical for me, and that goalpost is going to keep moving. It's a moving goalpost. I may want this today, but in 6 months' time from now, I may want something else. So, all of this is essential. But if someone thinks that I'm going to go solo or it is just my problem, it is never the case. You need to have set of individuals who will help you take that decision forward. And do remember, you're going to go slow only for a couple of months or for a small period of time. And again, as typically you will find on all these insta motivating messages, pulling back is also going to help you move forward faster. When you get back onto that track, you will have the same set of people who are going to fuel that progress as well.
Padma, how have you've been at Infosys for so many years? How have you seen yourself evolve? What are the things you've learned? What are the things you've unlearned in this journey? And do you feel that you are today a more effective version and a more solid version of yourself in after having this long journey?
The last 2 decades, I would say, have been like, you keep unwrapping a gift which is given to you. And again, um, it's not because I got a promotion every time. I've waited for like 10, 11 years. And it was interesting because a lot of people used to think, because of my personality, that, oh, I'm already at a certain level. And then, you're telling yourself, no, not really. But that's okay. All these titles and all are not important. You tell yourself and you move on. So you have an entire space of people who just allows you. And most importantly, I think what we've always seen at Infosys is you take the initiative, it's yours. The only thing that is waiting in this organization is for people to take the initiative. You have it in you, you raise your hand, that's it. The opportunity is out there for you. No questions asked. Nobody is going to say, oh, do you have the capability? Nobody is going to say, why you? Or nobody is going to say, again you. Maybe once in a while they would, because if you're taking away too much and not leaving it for the others, then they may ask you a question. But they will be there to help you take that initiative up, take it on successfully. And in fact, in many cases, you may not realize, but there'll be somebody who'll raise your hand as well for you because they see the potential, they spot that whole thing in you. So I think that is what emphasis is. Um, in my entire tenure, I never thought that I would forget being a leader. I never thought that I would really be someone who people would want to talk or do something about it. But I still am extremely grateful for the moment when I had this opportunity to be featured in the Netflix series of Bill Nye's program, which is Bill Nye Saves the World. And what still gives me goosebumps is the fact, the pride that I am a non tech person being featured in a segment about Infosys that talks about how population control, education of women is so important to take a society forward. And I just think it is sheer luck, the sheer again, magnanimity of everyone around me that felt that I could take up such an opportunity. So these are many things that have come my way, and I'm extremely grateful for all that this company has given me, while reminding me, like you rightly said, that sitting in your comfort zone is not going to get you somewhere. So gloat on it. You'll probably get a day to gloat on all of this, put it on social media, but on day two you have to get back to the running track and get to your next goal.
How do you understand the concepts of what is your understanding on the concepts of diversity and inclusion, and how have you seen your understanding also evolve with evolve with yourself, evolve with the kind of people you've worked with?
Today we are talking about diversity and inclusivity. But from the time that I walked into the workforce itself, and I'm probably going to head back a bit, because my first job was with an automobile company, which is Kinetic Limited, which is known for its Luna and Kinetic Honda back then. I worked on the shop floor, on the assembly line, as part of my management trainee days. And I think, this gender diversity hits you the most out there. That is something which is extremely essential for us to take back. Over a period of time, I have also seen that again, I go back to my family. From my father's side, you see, I was probably the first girl child in nearly three generations. So they celebrated the fact that there was a girl, and they continue to do that, with from that side of the family. Again, from my maternal side, they have been as one of those who have always championed the fact that you cannot distinguish between a male and a female child. Everyone does everything. That's something which is very critical. I have grown up in a very agnostic, gender agnostic kind of a thing, to the extent that it's it's something that we continue to pass it on to my boys, because it's not lost on me that I have two boys, and if there is anything about gender diversity, they need to take it forward. But coming to today, or even otherwise, what is it about gender diversity and that important element? I think it is not just a lip service activity. It is because you really want all kinds of individuals, irrespective of gender, irrespective of any other kind of backgrounds that they come from. It is important that everyone gets a space, everyone gets a seat at the table, as Sheryl Sandberg had rightly said. So the seat at the table is extremely important. There are times when you are in a position to facilitate and bring that chair and that seat at the table, because either of the position or because of the space that you have in that particular initiative. Or there are times when you are really struggling to help your voice be heard. It depends on where you are, but it should never be lost on both genders and everyone, in fact all, that it is important for everyone to have a voice. Everyone's opinion matters, and the hard rock and the bedrock of all of this is mutual trust.
What can someone truly learn from your journey? An aspiring professional, what can their takeaways be, and also what kind of impact are you hoping to create with your work?
I think it's extremely important to believe in your dreams, and you will have the entire universe conspire. As much as it sounds straight from a Shah Rukh Khan movie, or what Paul Coelho keeps saying, it is important for you to believe then everyone really conspires to come together. I really don't have an advice, because today's generation, and I'm so privileged to be working with some of the best, of this current generation, both in my work teams and even otherwise. It is extremely inspiring to see how much of clarity they have, the thought process, and how much of humane attitude they continue to have. So I think for me, my important element would always be keep that learnability quotient open, and the fact that everyone brings to the table something which is very unique must always be acknowledged. So don't trash someone away based on hierarchy or anything else. Even if at any point in time we tend to behave which is not the way we should, there will be a very gentle reminder that this is the way we need to keep the culture of the unit together. I think these are the important things, which means that you need to keep looking out for your role models. You will have so many of them coming on. You should keep looking at it and ensuring that also realize that these role models are humans, so give them a breather as well, and do something that will make you proud. And also, as Mr. Murthy always says, you have a clear conscience when you hit your pillow at the end of the day. I think those are the words to live by.
This
If
has been a wonderful conversation with you, and I'm sure everyone who's listening has such great insights to pick up from this conversation. Thank you so much for being a part of this series and speaking with us today. And everyone who tuned in, thank you so much. And stay tuned, we'll have more such conversations lined up. So keep watching this space and keep reading your story. Thank you.